welcome to the Gabe and Shey Podcast. My name is Gabe.
I'm Shey.
And today we're going to be talking about a pretty powerful subject that I think is actually close to each one of us. And that is nature versus nurture. And kind of elaborate on what the two mean and what does it actually mean? Not like nature versus nurture as a hype thing or anything like that, but what does it actually mean? And I would like to know your opinion on what nature means to you. What does nature mean to you, honey?
In the concept of what we're actually speaking of, because nature is plants and animals, yeah. Or are you talking about what we're talking about?
But listen though, but you're not far off though from where the nature comes from. Is nature is a natural thing, right? So no, but continue. But yeah, of course, in the context of this.
Well, in the context of this, to me, nature is what we're physically born with. So our eye color, our hair color, our skin color, how long our arms and legs are, how tall we are. That's nature.
Yeah.
Literally, physically, the way we're born.
Literally, physically, the way we're born. And even though we can do like prosthetic things to our body, or I was about to say cybernetic. It's all right. We're not there yet, Skynet. But those types of things to our body to enhance or to make those nature things different. So nature is how you come out of the womb, for sure. Is that agreed on between you and I?
Yes.
Perfect. And so nature is that way. So then if you can then describe to me what nurture is and how that's different than nature in your words.
Well, my understanding of nurture is our environment in a nutshell. So how we are raised, the education that we receive or choose to pursue, the literal environment that we are born into, a hot climate, a cold climate, things like that. So environment.
Perfect. No, I think that's absolutely perfect. And you talked about how we were raised and the education as part of that environment. And I think that that's such an important distinction to make. And so it's not just whether it's cold here. It's not just whether we're in a hot climate or whatever the climate is.
Apparently, according to science, that really does help shape who we are.
No, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they talk about, I believe it's Norwegians, or Icelandians, because they live in such a harsh environment, climate-wise, they actually are a lot tougher than most other human beings in the world and are able to withstand a lot more physical things than most human beings. So there is something to say about the nature of growing up there and not necessarily the nurture because of the climate, right? They come out, but it is the nurture though. The environment's what's nurturing them.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to break that apart because nature is, you can't do anything about it. And I don't want to get too deep into the gene thing.
Ooh, I do, because I have done some really interesting studying on that.
Okay. So we can.
Oh yeah.
But
no, we're getting into it.
So genes and genetics is something that is part of the nature thing. Okay.
Ish.
But what we're going to talk about too, after Shey shares some of her research, we're going to talk about too is how, whether or not it's genes, how that doesn't have to control our behavior or our actions. And that's something that we're majorly strong proponents of is how do we control our behavior? How do we control our actions? And what are we controlling them by? Are we letting nurture or nature take that? But we really haven't, we have described nurture. So genes, what have you researched about Levi's?
So they were actually Lee Riders.
Lee Riders, my bad.
Not Levi's.
Was it like the bell-bottom pants bottom? Lee Riders, let's go.
So in the bit of research, and by the way, I'm no expert here, so don't come for me, okay? However, I thought it was super interesting. I can't remember which book I was reading, but they were talking about how, yes, we are born with a DNA sequence, right? That can't be changed. Our DNA is what it is. However, the genes that are associated with that DNA sequence can be changed. They can be influenced, impacted, altered. They can be turned on and off, and they get turned on and off due to your environment.
Isn't that interesting?
Due to your habits, due to your beliefs, due to your activities, due to your literal nature environment. you can actually, purposefully or not, turn genes on and off. You can activate genes, you can deactivate genes. And I believe that is tied slightly into evolution. I mean, it's all part of adaptability. We all adapt to our environments or change our environments to adapt to us. But yeah, the whole turning genes on and off, just because you're born with a gene doesn't mean it will ever activate.
Now that makes complete sense to me, right? So if we've got DNA and there's certain part of the strands that turn on and turn off, based on certain stimuli, right? Certain stimulus that happens to you in life. It could be an event. You could be punched in the face. It could be you were bitten by a radioactive spider. Nothing. I tried, and it could be.
I saw a little bit of spider web flying around. I did, yeah.
I should put some in and like video post or something like that. But you could have all of those things that activate certain dormant parts of your DNA structure. I love that. Now, does that mean that I can? So now we have a kind of basic understanding of genes. Does that mean that I can blame genes for my crappy behavior?
For your behavior? I don't think so.
Of course you can. It's America. Of course I can. However, you're probably not going to get very far if you do something like that. If you say, one of the things that we talk about with my clients, and whenever a great example is brain trauma. If you've had brain trauma in your life, it's okay that has happened to you. And let's say it has affected your brain in a certain way. Talking about it all of the time, there's a part of people that when they have something like that happen to them, they'll say, well, I just want to remind you that my memory is short, or my memory isn't very great because of my brain injury. I don't walk as well because of my brain injury. And you don't realize what you're actually doing to your subconscious when you do that. When you give power to this thing that happened to you so far in the past, you are taking away current power from yourself.
What if it happened yesterday?
Even if it happened yesterday. The point is that if you're going to give power to one or the other, you're either going to give power to your current system, your current belief system, or you're going to give power to the belief system that you created when you were told by someone else that you would blah, 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 blah. And just to give you a great example of this, okay? When I had major back surgery, I broke my back from roofing. And I had, I ruptured 2 discs instantly. And this was a horrific event. And I had to get major back surgery. I had to get the discs replaced, and they were replaced with cadaver bones. And
what else?
Titanium rods and screws. She's trying to get, so it means that I was part human, part cyborg, part zombie. Yes. Anyways, but the doctor told me, Gabe, I just want to let you know that you're never going to lift more than 15 pounds. That's 15 pounds. You're never going to lift more than 15 pounds.
And look at you now. You carry every bus I throw at you.
Yeah, I do carry a lot of buses for you. But the fact of the matter is, it didn't matter what he said. It mattered what I believed. Okay? It didn't matter what he said. It mattered what I believed. Now, what he said will shape my belief. It could shape my belief.
Not just what you believed, but the effort you put in afterwards.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just you sat on a couch for the next 20 years believing you could lift more than 15 pounds.
Yeah, but they might psychologically handicap you from trying. By saying something like that, where they said, you're never going to lift more than 15 pounds. Well, bullshit. I mean, no offense. There's no way that I'm going to allow that belief to be in my life. And I'm going to constantly try to lift more than 15 pounds. I got news for you, Doc. I lift more than 200 pounds today. You know what I mean? It's like, it is something that many people do, especially because they attach their identity to it, right? So I am not somebody that had major back surgery. I don't tell myself that every day. The only time that I bring that up is when I'm trying to teach people about belief, when I'm trying to help people understand that whatever happened to you doesn't have to be you. Okay? Whatever happened to you doesn't have to be you. You are 100% in control of your identity.
Yeah, there was that study that they did with a group of kids, all took an IQ test, and they took everybody that had the same range of IQ, right? So all within like whatever, five points of each other. And they divided them in half and told one half, without the other half hearing, you will never go to college. You will never achieve much. You will never get good grades. You're just not smart enough. You know, you got this really terrible low IQ score, and they hadn't. And then they told the other group that had the exact same IQ score, you are going to excel in life. You're going to do so good. All your tests are going to be easy for you. You're going to go to college. You're going to achieve all your wildest dreams.
Let's go.
They had the exact same scores. But the problem is that both groups believed what they were being told repetitively. Because it wasn't just one time, right? They were being told this. It was an experiment.
Yeah.
So they were being told this multiple times over time. And yeah, each group lived up to whatever they were being told.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So, you know, here's, well, actually, I'm going to get to how I combat that later, but I want to break down nurture now because nurture is such a big one. You know, I just talked about an event that happened to me personally, and that was a nurture. That's something that is going to nurture me into a behavior, an identity, a belief system, a value system that could nurture me. And quite frankly, it did. It did nurture me. Because
are you talking about the doctor?
I'm talking about the back surgery. Yeah.
Okay.
The back surgery, because at that time I believed him. And at that time I fell into an 8-year-long major drug addiction, and it was prescription drugs, and it was horrific, absolutely horrific. Not getting into details here. But I believed him. Okay?
Watch our previous podcasts.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I went into detail then either. Hopefully, did I?
I think so.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. So with the nurture part, it's really about the beliefs. And here's what I tell my clients currently about belief. If you don't create your beliefs, your environment will. If you don't create your beliefs, everything around you that gets into your mind will create your beliefs.
Yeah, okay? Good or bad.
Good or bad. Yep. That's correct. And so, but you know, there might be a belief that you can't change your beliefs. Well, I would recommend considering that belief would be the first belief that you change is I can change my beliefs. And we'll go into how you can do that in practice. But in the meantime, I wanted to break down nurture a little bit to help understand why we do the things we do, right?
Well, because to be clear, nature to me are the things we cannot change about ourselves.
100%.
Our hair color, not truly our hair color. Yes, we can dye our hair. We can't change what's growing out of our head. So our hair color, our eye color, our skin color, our height, probably, you know, those things, those are the nature things that we cannot change within respect. Okay.
Can you change the warmth of the sun?
I don't think so.
No, you might be like, put less clothes on, whatever. But what I'm getting at is that you can't change that. That's a natural thing, right? It's a natural law. When it rains, you get wet. There's it's not something, you can't change that, right? And so if you can't change it, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, but that being said, like to me, genes and personality are not nature to me.
Genes and personality.
Yeah, because we can turn on and off those genes. And I know that sounds hokey. We can get more into it if time allows for it.
Gotcha.
You know, genes can be changed.
Personality can be changed. You're 100% correct. Yeah.
Our neural pathways are getting changed every moment of every day.
Yeah.
So
there's large talk about I'm glad. So
nurture is what you were talking about, and that's why. Yeah, nurture.
Yeah. So she's right. There's a lot of times where this makes me think of moms and grandmas and aunts all the time.
Why just women? What about the grandpas and the uncles?
Because it's the women that say this out loud. A baby is a baby at like 6 months, and the women of the family are like, oh, he's got a personality. Oh, I know his personality. Oh, I know what he's going to be. Oh, he's a smiler. He's a blah, blah, blah. Right. And it's funny because you're right. He does have a personality, or she does have a personality. And however, what you're not right about is that personality doesn't need to define them. And what actually defines personality is character, your character. and character is 100% nature or nurture. Character is built by your environment. It's built by your beliefs, your values, your principles. And so if that's true, okay, I could be a dirty liar here. All right.
Don't come for him either.
Yeah. If that's true, if your personality is built by your character, character can change. And character changes through education about these things.
And personalities change, yeah.
Because if your character changes, your personality will change. You might be an asshole. That's fine. I know some. But the fact of the matter is, it also is going to be congruent with your character, your current character. So if you are an asshole, that's going to be lined up with who your character is today. Does it mean that you can develop a better character and be not as much of an asshole? No. Yeah, probably.
Yes.
But do most people want to do that though? Most people are like, no, man, I like the way I am and blah, blah, blah. And then, but at the same breath,
you either like me or you don't.
In the same breath though, there's the complaints about the world and how it's mistreated me. And so if you're not willing to take control of your destiny in even the tiniest way, okay, maybe consider not complaining about what the world has dished out for you, because you don't have to stay who you are if you don't want to. Every one of us has an opportunity to rewrite our script, and the script is the character that builds our personality. So if you've got a great personality, I'm definitely not saying change your character, right? But it doesn't mean you shouldn't learn about it, because there could be some character traits that you're missing that could get you to the next level of whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, or no matter how good, bad, or ugly you are, look into yourself. It can never hurt to have some introspection and just understand a little bit more about why you are who you are.
Yeah. Hey, look, Stephen Hawking, a great example of someone. Even a better example is Christopher Reeves. Christopher Reeves, he was just, no matter what these people, what their handicaps are, it doesn't stop them from having this unbelievable character. So because they don't base their character on how they look, they don't base their character on how they sound or speak. They base their character on fundamentally different things. And so there's nothing stopping any of us from changing what we base our character on and then developing those things. You know, you might not be able to develop your handicap. If you're handicapped, you can't develop growing an arm back. It's just, as human beings, we can't do that yet. We can't do that yet, but it doesn't mean that has to define you. That's one part of your life. And it could either have everything to do with your life or nothing to do with your life. It's up to you.
Yeah. You hear about kids being born with disabilities all the time, and then they grow up to be these amazing Olympians or musicians or artists. Or
better human beings than other human beings that have all of their faculties, honestly.
Yeah.
There's no.
So you got all like starry-eyed when we were talking about neurotransmitting and neural pathways. What were you?
Did I?
Yeah.
Darn
you were
it.
like, ooh, yes.
Well, was it neural pathways we were talking about?
I think I said neural pathways because what we choose to feed our brains with literally reshapes the pathways of our brain.
Sorry about that. Yes, 100%. And what Shay's talking about is general habit building. So if when a habit's created inside of your brain, it creates this kind of like, you can just view it this way, it creates this channel that is very deep and very rooted, and which is why it becomes.
Ooh, can I give the sledding example?
Sure.
So imagine there's this hill covered in snow, and the hill is your brain, and you're sitting up here in a sled, and maybe it's one of the old fashioned sleds that has the metal runners, you know, it's like wooden slats on top and the metal runners.
It's called a toboggan. Is it called a toboggan?
No, toboggans don't have the metal runners. No, you're right.
Never mind. It's not called a toboggan. It's a sled.
And
it's a rider. It's something right. Anyway,
and you're here, right? And you're sitting on top of your sled, and the sled is on top of the hill, and then you go down the hill. Well, what happens? Those metal bars create a rut in the snow. You run up the hill and you go down the same path. You run up the hill, and after enough times of going through this path, the sled can't even go on a different path because the ruts are so deep.
Well, I would say her sled could go on a different path because it's so thin. But you're right though, like a toboggan that's very thick creates a thick path. And it would be harder and harder and harder as you went down the same path each time to create a new path. Yeah.
But that's your thoughts creating the exact same pathway deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper if you're repeating those same thoughts or learning the same things. Or so good or bad.
Good or bad.
Those ruts are getting deeper and deeper every time you perform the same activity or tell yourself the same belief or...
Yeah, it's Darren Hardy put it in a really good way in a book called The Compound Effect. If you haven't read The Compound Effect, you very much should. And he talked about behavioral changes over time and how at first you might not notice something because the compound effect doesn't rear its ugly or beautiful head until after quite a bit of time. And I think in the two examples, in one example, we had one guy that decided to add vegetables to his dinner. And we had another guy that decided to add a beer to his dinner. And in both cases, nothing happened at the beginning. And it wasn't until about a year later when you started to see some behavioral changes, not necessarily physical changes. And to me, physical changes, you can count that as part of character too, because character is very much, in my opinion, a physical change because it's your behavior, decisions, and actions, which everyone can see. Mm-hmm. And so after the first year, now we've got some behavioral changes. The vegetables have gone up into adding maybe no breading on the meat that they're eating. And all in all, it just leads to a little bit healthier. But not only that, but now he's walking like every day. Mm-hmm. And so it just whatever, it just led to him being a little bit more interested in activity and stuff like that. And the other guy who drank the beer with a meal every day is now he's at 2 beers, sometimes 3 at the end of the year. And when he's drinking, he typically falls asleep watching a game of some sort or something like that. And the real ugly doesn't happen until 3 years later when you get the 2 people together. And the one person that literally the only thing he did was initially was add vegetables to his dinner. That was it. Only thing he did. And the only thing the other guy did was 1 beer right out at dinner. That's it. And in 3 years, the guy that did the beer, he was an alcoholic. He was drinking a 12-pack a night, and he was obese, and he had an incredibly large beer belly. And then the other guy was physically fit and was getting promoted like crazy at his job. And in both scenarios, it affected every part of their life. Mm-hmm. So whatever that scenario was, it affected everything. The compound effect started to affect them financially, mm-hmm. who they were to the community,
their
families, everything. Yeah. And same with the guy that drank the 1 beer at dinner. When he became that stay-at-home alcoholic now, it affected everything. It affected him financially, it affected his job or lack thereof. It affected all of these things. And so it's the one step that you can take that is the catalyst to get change started if it's done over time. And I do want to get into that, but was there something else that you were about to say?
Well, no, not necessarily. Okay. Yes, so many thoughts happening.
I know. But... So behavior-wise, so when it comes to nurture, back to nurture, if you were taught to believe something, if you were taught to believe it and you took it at face value, that means that you're not in control, your environment is. If you were taught to believe something and then you explored other options as an alternative to that belief and then returned to that original belief that you were taught, you have now created a belief that you are in control of. This is a very important distinction to me, okay? Because it now means that you have done your due diligence and are now in control of everything that you want to believe in or were even brought up to believe in. Mm-hmm. And this isn't about religion or politics or anything like that. This is about all beliefs. Do you believe that bread should be cooked for 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes? That's a belief, okay?
Well, and actual science with the recipe that you're using.
I'm saying if you're not using recipes and you just have a belief you're using that instead, that's a belief, which means it can be changed. You learn something new, you might be able to change that belief, okay? So what I'm just trying to get at is that beliefs do not lay dormant in religion. It's not about do I believe in God or not believe in God. It's about do I believe that paper is good to use or do I believe that paper is bad to use? That's a belief, okay? And we can get into it's based on values and all that stuff. What I'm trying to get at is just because you were raised by either when you were young or by what's coming into your brain today, all of it can change. And I don't care how old you are. It's already been done across the world, period. It's been done. So if you say it can't be done, so be it. Then for you, that's a belief. And you're right. It can't be done. And so
whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you're right.
You're right. That's right. And I think that was Theodore Roosevelt that said that.
I thought it was Ben Franklin. Shoot.
All right. It was one of them presidents.
We can look it up later.
So finally, I want to give you an idea. So there's the one effect, the one catalyst of change that can help change a belief, like adding broccoli to a meal or adding carrots to a meal or something like that. Mm-hmm. That is one way you could change beliefs. But one of the biggest ways that I was taught to reshape my beliefs was to go in to me. So it's going to be some self-contemplation. And by the way, this can be dark and scary sometimes, okay?
Inside of you?
Inside of me. Go inside of me into my mind and start to unpack some of my beliefs. And I'm going to give you a little exercise here. If you're interested, do it. If not, whatever, it's cool. Either way.
I forgot to bring a pen. Shoot.
So what I want you to do is I want you to write down on one side of the page. Actually, I want you to write down your beliefs, okay? Not on one side of the page. Just write down your beliefs, period. About as much as you could possibly think of. As much as you could possibly think of. If you believe that you are good enough, I want you to write that down. If you believe that you're not good enough, I want you to write that down. If you believe that you are intelligent, write it down. If you believe that you are not intelligent, I want you to write that down. If you believe that a brain injury is the reason why you're not intelligent, I want you to write that down. List 20 beliefs. I dare you to list 20
about
beliefs.
Family, friends, love, religion, the world, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what it is. You just go ahead and you just knock those beliefs out, okay? Then I want you to go through each one of those beliefs, those 20 beliefs, and next to each one of those beliefs, I want you to write down that it's one of two different beliefs. It is either a limiting belief, so you write down limiting next to it, or it is an empowering belief. You write down empowering next to it.
And for those who may not be familiar with this, what do you mean by empowering and limiting?
Limiting belief means a belief that is holding you back from results or the success that you're seeking. An empowering belief is something that is propelling you forward towards success or a goal or something that it is that you're seeking. And if you're not seeking anything, honestly, I'm a little sad because I don't mean it like that, but I feel bad because it means that you could say you're content. And actually, if you are content, it's wonderful. Really, it is actually wonderful. You've achieved something that most people haven't. There are a lot of people that lie to themselves about being content so they don't face these beliefs, because facing these beliefs can be very challenging, okay? However, if you do feel that you're content, there's no judgment here. Be content. For those of you who are not content, this exercise and this re-scripting of your mind can be powerful. If you start writing down, you write the 20 beliefs down, and then next to them you write down, and you know what? Make them beliefs about yourself. I think that's going to be the most important here. Make them beliefs about you. 20 beliefs about yourself. And then you write them down. And then next you're going to write down limiting or empowering next to them. Then you're going to try to figure out how to turn every single one of your limiting beliefs into an empowering belief. What is the opposite of that belief in order to make it empowering? You're going to discover that. And then to figure out how to change it, you're going to go back and you're going to question how you came up with that belief and when you came up with that belief. And I got to tell you, if you do this, you need to make sure that you find a safe space for your mind, because sometimes some of us have gone through some incredibly traumatic experiences. And if you go back into that traumatic experience with this new mindset, this adult mindset that you have now today, to see how you created a belief and then to identify whether or not it needs to be changed. Because the fact of the matter is, if you created a belief when you were 5 years old, and let's say you're 45 today, and you still have that 5-year-old belief, Let's really think about that for a second. If a 5-year-old came up to you and said, I think you should believe this, you'd probably punt that 5-year-old. Literally.
Nope, just you.
I would
Just
punt, literally punt that 5-year-old and be like, get on my face. You have no idea what you're talking about. Yet, those are the beliefs that we carry into our adult life.
Yep.
That's huge, huge. So you go back there and you start to question, is it a real belief? Is it a belief that I can take into my life? And what you'll start to do is you will start to unpack this new opportunity for your identity.
I love it. Something else I wanted to talk about too with nature versus nurture is that they are not exclusive in my mind. They both coexist together.
Yeah, they should.
They have to, right?
Yeah.
But also it was a conversation in my family a while back that, about, some people might say, well, I was born with a genetic disease, a genetic disability, a genetic something or other. And so, like one of my doctors had asked, you guys, does your family have any hereditary diseases?
Oh yeah.
Well, it depends on what you mean by hereditary. Yes, my family has learned through the generations certain behaviors that may contribute to certain diseases or illnesses.
Yeah.
In that way, yes, all families have hereditary diseases.
They do.
However, based on epigenetics is what it's called, the turning on and off of your genes based on your activities, your education, your whatever you're doing in your environment. Diseases aren't necessarily passed down through genes. Yes, there are some. Don't come for me.
Yep, there are some.
But they don't have to be. So just because cancer has been in the last 6 generations of your family doesn't mean it has to continue. They've actually done scientific studies and research that you can end that cycle with your activities, with your habits, with your lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to continue on to the next set of genes.
That's right.
And so I just thought that was super interesting. I'm not saying that that's the case all the time, right? But there's it's the possibility of knowing that you can be that force of changing that nature.
Yeah. At least give it a try before you just fall into it, right? Mm-hmm. Before somebody says to you, oh, your mom had this. Oh, you're going to have this. Instead of letting that seep in and sink in, just give your lifestyle a change, a try to change your lifestyle. Let's just see what happens, right? I mean, because honestly, in the end, you're in control of that, but you're also in control of what you believe. And that's the most empowering thing in the world, I think. Mm-hmm. You're in control.
Yeah.
With that brings us to the end of our episode today. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this conversation about nature versus nurture and how beliefs and personality and character shape us. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Or if you like what you hear because you're just listening to us while you're doing household chores.
Yes, or driving.
Or driving.
Please like us and subscribe when you stop driving. Mm-hmm. Not now. We don't believe in texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
That's right.
All right. My name is Gabe.
I'm Shey.
And we will talk to you later.